This photo was taken with Moshé Feldenkrais on my birthday in 1981, I believe it was, at Amherst College. And I had graduated from his course the year before, and some of us were invited to come back and give Feldenkrais lessons to the class because there were 235 people approximately in the second Feldenkrais training at Amherst with Moshé Feldenkrais. And in my class, I'd had only 63 people. So it was only possible for those people to experience a Feldenkrais lesson if some of us graduates came back and shared the work with them. So Moshé had always been interested that I had worked with horses and other animals, and it's so interesting that his cousin, Eleanor Silverstein, has become a very good friend of mine since that day. Eleanor took that photo. In the photo, Moshé is watching me work on a horse, and on the second day of the training that I entered with him, had never crossed my mind that the class that I was taking for myself and my students would help with the animals. But Dr. Moshé Feldenkrais made a statement in the second day of that training that made my ears prick up like a horse. I was lying on the floor doing an awareness through movement and bringing new awareness to the body, and Moshé Feldenkrais made the statement that it's possible for a human to learn in one experience using gentle, non-habitual movements that activate new neural pathways to the brain, thereby giving us more potential for learning. And when he said that, I thought, I wonder if this is true for a human, could it be true for a horse? And in that time, horses were thought to be very slow learners. They had to be a lot of repetition, just like they thought for people. So that very afternoon after class, I went out and I called a friend who'd had a herd of horses come down from Montana the month before. And one of these horses was a 16-year-old broodmare who'd never been ridden, and she had a very bad habit, frustrating habit, that when you'd go to catch her every day to bring her into the stable to feed her, she would run away because that's what she'd done all her life. And so the question is, can we change a habit like that in one experience? So the owner of this horse chased her around, caught her up, and brought her to me. And at that point, I had already been doing body work on horses for 15 years based on the work of my grandfather, Will Haywood. And so we had been moving bodies and doing something that we called physical therapy for the athletic horse, based on these short little strokes that were done over the whole body. And we'd done it for years for our sport horses, but it never crossed my mind that I could actually affect the behavior of a horse by working on the body. So I just stood there with this mare and I thought, what can I do now with her that will move her body in gentle ways that will be non-habitual, that she could not do herself, that would activate new neural pathways. And so I just started doing the same movements, many of them that we've been doing for years, moving the legs in circles, but with a different intention. The intention was to activate new neural pathways to the brain, to actually give her a new sense of herself. And now, thanks to quantum science, that we understand that every thought we have has energy. The very fact that I was thinking this concept and holding the infinite possibility that this horse could learn in a new way, I just worked. I took her head and I moved it in gentle ways that she would not do herself. The same with the ears and the tail and parts of the body we've been working on for years with the idea of just working muscles. Nothing with giving new awareness. And so, I worked on the mirror maybe 30 minutes in what I consider exploration. What could this do? And then we put her away, and I went home, and the next morning the owner called me and said, I don't know what you did to my horse, but when I had turned her out again, and when I went to catch her, she was waiting for the first time at the gate. And when I took her in the stable, instead of diving for the hay, which was normal, she just kind of stood there as though she was saying, like, do something more to me. And the people who had been watching me thought I hypnotized the horse because she was so connected and interested. So indeed, we did show in that very first time that you could change a habit of a horse in one session, just working in gentle, non-habitual ways of the body, moving the body, and with intention. So that's my story. And it's so interesting that Moshe, on that day, that was my birthday, and the person in the corner is Roger Russell, who was my partner at the time and still a very close friend. And we've been studying together and working together in finding ways of moving horses in these non-habitual ways through a labyrinth that summer, and the rest is history. So thank you, Moshe. And it was so interesting with his comments and pointing out what I was doing there. If you do not know the Feldenkrais work, check it out.